Hello and welcome to lesson 3 of the series on GUI coursework. In this lesson I'm going to tell you how to add functionality to the GUI interface that you built in the last lesson. Remember that when we're using a GUI we typically use something called event-driven programming. This means that the functions which perform the actions of our program are linked to GUI events. Typically, when the user clicks on a button, this triggers the program to do something. So in this lesson, I'll show you how to use an existing Python function or write a function that does the work that you want it to do. We'll get input to that function from a text box widget and we'll send the output of the function to a text label widget. And then finally we'll link the function to a push button widget. So you've already added those 3 widgets to your interface and now we'll link them to a Python function so that you'll end up with a perfect working program. Here's an existing function. It's taken from the text-based conversion program that I wrote before. So you would use any of the functions that you've already written for your project. I've also imported the constant called the conversion rate because I'm going to need to use that in my program. You will notice that the function gets an input in the form of a parameter. That's a value passed from the main program to the function. And the function returns a value back to the main program. These are the inputs and outputs of the function. Instead of a parameter, we're going to get input from the GUI. So there's no need for a parameter. We just take that out. There's nothing in the brackets after the function name. Instead, we get the value from the text box. Remember, your text box had a name and I called it pounds. So whatever the widgets are that you've added to your GUI, whatever the names are, you choose the value that has been entered into the text box that you need. And I've got to convert it from string to a float variable because the values in the text box will be text values. So I've used the float function to convert it into a float data type. And actually I'm going to do that using an exception handling routine just in case the user enters a value that I can't easily convert to float data type. That will prevent the program from crashing. And finally, I'm going to send the output of the function back to the GUI. Instead of returning a value to the main program, I'm setting the value of the text label, which I've already added to my GUI. I added a label to display the output and I called it euros. So I'm setting the value of the euros widget to the result, the variable result. So look at the difference between your original function used in your text-based program and what it looks like when it's linked to an event-driven GUI. It's a longer piece of code, but it logically follows on from what we've been doing. So instead of a parameter, we're getting a value from the text box widget, and instead of returning the result to the main program, we're setting the value of a text label. And the only final thing that we've got to do is to link the function that we've just created, the convert function, to the button widget. So here we've added a parameter to the push button widget, command equals convert, and convert is just the name of the function that we've been writing. So we've just said to the computer, if anybody clicks on that button, run the convert function. So last lesson we built the interface. There it is. I've left out all the stuff about setting the colors. That's just the basic interface. So we've built an interface with 3 widgets. So we've created a menu, we've created a window called main, and we've added input widgets, event triggers and output widgets. And then we display the main window with all its widgets on it. Above that section, at the top of our program, I've added all the functions that I need. My program's only got one function, and that function is linked to all the widgets that it needs in the main window. My application now works perfectly. So your code must start with the command to import GUI 0. It then set any variables and constants that you need, write any functions and procedures that you need, and then use the commands to create an interface window with widgets on it. So that's a kind of outline plan for your working program. The tasks that I'm leaving you with are to copy the example that I've shown here so that you can create a simple working program. Once you've got confident with that, add functionality to your own GUI for your own coursework. And remember that this is a process of continual development and improvement, and I've pointed you at books and websites where you can learn more. In the final of the 4 lessons, I'm going to talk a little bit more about improving the visual design of your interface. So I'll see you then. Bye for now.